in short-term recovery assistance to more than 100 residents of Travis and Williamson counties. They have received their checks or direct ACH payments through the Wilco Cares and Travis County Cares Relief Funds. And we did this because of the generosity of donations from individuals, community organizations, and the Band Together concert. The initial round of support to these residents was guided by a regional advisory committee. This is made up a group of local leaders representing organizations and foundations across Central Texas, along with the actuarial support of Texas Mutual Insurance Company. And we could not have accomplished this critical step of providing those relief funds for rebuilding without our committed committee members. The dollars that have been distributed are now in the hands of those that need it. These are families that have lost their homes, their automobiles, their possessions, and their sense of stability. To date, those crucial funds that have been raised, they've helped us. We're writing checks actively. We're connecting families with case managers and walking them through recovery. But the journey is far from over. Applications remain open for both Travis County Cares and Wilco Cares, and these funds will continue to provide direct financial relief to the families impacted by the disastrous July 5th floods. I'll be providing more information on the application in just a moment, but at this time I'd like to invite up our county leadership, and we'll start with Williamson County Judge Stephen Snell.
All right, thank you, Amy, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's hard to believe it's been almost 5 months since the floods tore through Central Texas and caused so much damage and destruction. For many of us, the floods are just a memory, but we still have many families who are still struggling and are overwhelmed by the damages from the flood and trying to put their daily lives back together. Williamson County established the long-term recovery group under Wilco Cares to help people with their ongoing needs. And we found that people are still in need of a variety of things. We still have some of our citizens that are in need of safe housing. We have mold remediation ongoing, emergency financial assistance. We have citizens help navigating insurance claims, counseling and trauma recovery efforts, vehicle replacement, or even securing reliable transportation, food supplies, and restoring the community infrastructure. And I want to take a quick moment to thank the state of Texas and our legislature and our governor for helping us clean up the San Gabriel River. That has been a tremendous help. Because of all the ongoing hardships of our community, I'm very grateful for the partnerships we have with the Central Texas Community Foundation. As Amy said, over $3 million has been distributed in Williamson County alone. That number is about $1 million. It's helping people rebuild and restore their lives. So I'd like to personally thank. Very, very grateful to our community for all of their donations. It's been very humbling. It's the generosity of our community. Through that, so far, I mentioned the $1 million. That has helped over 34 residents in Williamson County restore their lives. So again, very, very thankful for that. Just as a reminder to everybody, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday, and we still have lots of community members in need all over Central Texas. So we ask that you think about the flood victims and their ongoing needs as we enter the Giving Tuesday. And at this point, I would like to welcome Travis County Judge Andy Brown. Thank you.
Thanks, Judge. So from the beginning of when this happened, our priority has been to get direct, meaningful support to the survivors as quickly and responsibly as possible. And I'm so glad that we are in a partnership with not only Wilco and Williamson County, but the Central Texas Community Foundation and Amy and everybody over there for their great partnership and their great experience in situations like this. We set up an entity called Travis County Cares, similar to the entity in Wilco called Wilco Cares. We also are partnering with Band Together Texas and many other community organizations that are and donors that have stepped up to help this community in Travis County and Williamson County. These collective efforts mean that 115 residents across our 2 counties began receiving direct financial support last month, totaling $3.35 million in short-term recovery funds. In Travis County alone, 80 residents have already received about $2.5 million of this money to help stabilize and rebuild. This is a huge milestone, and it's only possible because of the generosity and compassion of our region. And I also just want to personally thank Miranda Lambert, who sort of randomly ran into her at the UT-A&M game on Friday, and let her know that the money that she helped raise, that she raised really at that concert from our community members, and has so generously given a huge amount of that to our efforts here in Travis and Williamson counties. She was so happy to hear that that money is actually getting out to flood victims, and it was very clear that that was very meaningful to her. Our neighbors here in Travis County and Williamson County have experienced damaged homes, destroyed vehicles, and in some cases took away nearly everything a family had. Some families, of course, suffered the heartbreaking burden of funeral and burial costs as well. The needs that we're seeing are still very significant. Most families facing major home repair costs such as damaged floors, walls, driveways, doors, drywall, homes that needed a muck out, things like that. Some homes are total losses, and even some homes, what might be considered a partial damage, the repair estimates are somewhere between $30,000 and $75,000 or more for a lot of these folks. For families without flood insurance, which is a lot of families, the majority of survivors didn't have that coverage. Those costs are even more overwhelming. So even if you did have flood insurance, coverage often tops out at $100,000 or sometimes $250,000, leaving a lot of these households with additional enormous out-of-pocket expenses. Families lost sheds, fencing tools, lawn equipment, anything you can think of, washed away by the flood. Renters lost things like furniture, appliances, clothing, and personal belongings, and both renters and homeowners are dealing with losses of their cars. Lower-income families in particular often had only liability insurance, leaving them without resources to replace their damaged cars or trucks. As we look ahead, I want to remind everyone that the road to recovery is long. We're just getting started, and we're committed to walking it with the residents who are impacted. This work won't be finished in a week or in a month. Some families are facing years of rebuilding, but they won't face it alone. Travis County and our partners in our community are here for the long haul. And as Judge Snell mentioned, on the heels of Giving Tuesday, I want to invite those who are able to join supporting this combined effort through the Central Texas Community Foundation. Every contribution, large or small, helps a family replace lost furniture, rebuild a damaged home, or regain transportation so they can get to work or to school. Your generosity today can make an immediate difference for a neighbor who is still struggling. And you can give to the Central Texas Community Foundation.org website under the Flood Relief 2025 tab. One other thing, we also set up, similar to Williamson County, a recovery team that's made up of folks, HEB, other partners that are volunteering to help this long-term recovery effort. That's something that is set up in Travis County and that meets regularly and is going to be looking at these needs and helping address them over the coming months and years. So with that, you have another, Amy will close us out.
Thank you, Judge Snell and Judge Brown. You've heard a lot today about Giving Tuesday, and I think it's because it's this opportunity when we can come together as a community and recognize that there are needs. There are people that are suffering in a multitude of different ways. The families that have been impacted, I've talked to so many, they're living in a camper on a slab where their home used to be, and having to endure the holidays knowing that there is support that can be had for them if we can come together and raise these funds. We really want to make a plea to the community and ask for everyone to consider giving. Even those that have been funded in the first round, they're eligible for round two. And I'm going to go over the application, and then we're going to talk about what we've raised, and then we'll open it up for questions. So the round two applications, they are open right now. If you want to give, or if you're a resident that was impacted by the floods, you can go to www.ctxcf, floodrelief.org. Right on the front homepage, it says flood relief. The application is available in English and Spanish. The first thing you want to do is check the impact map. You have to reside in the areas that both counties have said this is a geographic footprint of the flood. That's the most important piece. You will need your ID, you need proof of residency. We do income verification, it's a very important step, and then proof of loss. Those are the most important things, but everything that you need can be found on the website. You can click on the application. If you need support, you can fill out the application. Case managers will be able to help you. To date, with what we have raised from incredible individual donors, community organizations, businesses like HEB, St. David's Foundation, and the Band Together Texas group, we've raised about $8.4 million. Our goal is $10 million, so we are close, and with your support, we can get there. We just want to encourage everyone. We're going to keep banging that drum. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow. Please consider making a contribution for the people that have been just tremendously impacted by the floods. You know, you don't have to give big dollars. A lot of times we think, I only have $5 to give. $5 makes a difference when an army of people can give $5. If you can give more, give more. All right, at this time, we'd like to open it up for questions.
First question right here. Can you guys just tell us how you guys are deciding, sorry, you threw me off the mic, how you guys are deciding to how much each individual applicant gets when they're applying for these funds?
Excellent question. This is a very common question. So the reason why we ask for income verification and the level of loss, we want to make sure that they live in the right area. You know, we look for a lease or a mortgage statement, and then utility bills confirming that they have lived there at the time of the flood. And then we look at income and how much their loss is. Texas Mutual has been an incredible partner. They've lent us their actuary department, and what we've done is, the reason why we didn't start distributing the second we got applications is because we have a limited amount of money, and we want to evaluate these people as a group. Because it's fair. If I give you $10,000 and then your neighbor applies next week and their loss is greater than yours and their financial situation is lower than yours and all I have left is $1,000, it's not fair to the neighbor. Texas Mutual took our data. Their actuary department, the head of their actuary department oversaw the data, and what they did is they took statistics AI information, they jumbled it together and they gave us an algorithm, and it came up with a needs factor. So every person received a score on that needs factor. The committee that oversaw the funds for round one distributions, the maximum gift was $100,000. The minimum someone got was $500. The average gift was a little north of $30,000. We had lots of people that received very large check distributions, but again, it was based on their income level and their amount of loss. I hope that answers the question. Yes? What?
Yeah, I have a question for either Andy Brown and also Stephen Snell. I know that in the Commissioner's Court in October, you guys said you got about a little over $21 million in relief efforts, and I wanted to know in terms of the vehicle recovery, the debris recovery, where does that number stand now, and how much is that number in terms of the $21 million at?
Yeah, so when this happened, we had a reserve of $15 million at the county, and we spent that and more pretty quickly. My understanding is now we're up a little bit over 21 million, maybe 22 million, somewhere around there. We've also received additional help from TDM on getting the vehicles out, on collecting debris. So we've sort of split that so far in that we did a lot of initial debris removal work, and now TDM is doing a lot of that debris removal work.
And how much is that right now? Because that was 2 months ago.
Same number I just said, so about $22 million. And then the dollar amount that TDM has spent, my guess would be it would be much larger than that at this point. I don't know the exact number. You'd want to check with them, but debris removal is extraordinarily expensive.
And for Stephen Snell, I know we haven't heard from Williamson County about how much you guys are at in terms of vehicle recovery and all that stuff as well, and how much cost the county has.
I'm looking at Connie for the exact number. So the biggest cost, like Judge Brown said, is cleaning the river, but working with TDM and FEMA, the state has stepped in Williamson County and helped us clean San Gabriel. So those costs will be reimbursed. Our costs were working with Waste Management Landfill, getting that debris and volunteers a place to drop off that. I want to say at one point, our estimates were around 34 million, but I want to make sure I get you accurate information before we leave today.
Y'all talked about dealing with insurance companies and getting those numbers broken down. What is the average need for, I know you can't have an average person, but what is the average need that you're seeing in Travis and Williamson counties?
That's a really tough question to answer. In the initial round of applicants, we had 115. We have some that have less than $10,000. Most people have, I would say, $50,000, $60,000 of loss, all the way up to hundreds of thousands. I think the greatest loss I saw was around $800,000. Again, that's not just a home. That's the cattle and the chicken coop and the tractors, and there's lots of things that can be in it. I think the average is probably between $30,000 and $60,000, but I did not run the actual number on that. I can tell you in round one, we had, I think, around 8 million in request.
And you were able to get out 3.5?
3.35.
And is that 3.35 part of the 8 million?
It is. So we have about 5 million left for round two. And we told all of round one, obviously those that have not been funded yet, we will start with them, and then everyone will be shuffled back in the deck, and they will be evaluated for additional distributions after round two, as initials distributions have gone out.
So it sounds like even if you hit your 10 million goal, there's still so much.
Yes. There is an incredible need, and the reason 10 million was kind of our goal in the beginning is because I can tell you dozens and dozens and dozens have said this is the first real support we've received. Tears, they come in, they call us on the phone, they send these emails. Obviously, it's frustrating to have to wait 4 months before you get a dime. But yes, the needs are tremendous, which is why both counties have stood up their long-term recovery committees. Those committees are going to be with these residents for the next 1 to 3 years because it isn't something that's going to happen overnight. The idea with the unmet needs groups that reside within these committees is that they will work with construction companies, they will work on getting things in bulk to help rebuild these homes. So giving them financial support is part of the issue. The other is the long-term effects. The mental health, the trauma that these families have been through is not something that you can repair with bricks and mortar. So their needs are tremendous.
Yeah, just building off of what Betty was asking, do you view, and I have two questions, do you view this as a gap filler for people who don't have insurance? Is that how this fund is kind of operating? And I've got to say, and a lot of the frustration, especially in the Sandy Creek area, 4 months is a long time for checks to finally start going out. Why did it take so long?
Well, I'll answer the second part of your question first. Short-term recovery is designed to be in the 3 to 6 month mark. Immediate recovery, those people that come in immediately and provide support are there to take care of those immediate needs, to provide temporary shelter, housing, clothes. Short-term recovery, financial recovery, first of all, there aren't too many groups that are willing to do this, to get the money directly to the individuals. Most of the time, money is raised, it's given to nonprofits, and nonprofits sort of oversee, and you can't really draw the line about where the money goes. What's different about this is that we were working with residents. So when we closed the applications on September 10th, 90% of that 115 in that group did not have what they needed. They needed support. We also found 60 cases of fraud, people that either outright were clearly falsifying documents, or they lived outside of the geographic footprint, or there's some other factor. So it just takes time to vet. And the reason why we don't start distributing funds the second we get an application that's completed in is because we don't know. The committee can't say, well, this one I think we're going to give them $30,000, and I think we'll give this one $20,000, and then usually what happens is the lowest income earners are the ones that have the hardest time getting their documentation in. They don't have electronic records, and their paper records may have washed down the stream. waiting for them. There was an article that was in the Houston Chronicle and it hit the Statesman about a month ago. It talked about how FEMA distributions, by and large, went to high net worth individuals, higher income earners, not the ones that were in the most desperate need. And it's because that group of people, they just take longer. They need more support. They need caseworkers to help them. Some of them may not have the documentation that we requested. We like a tax return, but not everyone files income taxes. Some are on disability, some are on unemployment, some make cash and they choose not to file those taxes. So verifying income is something, it just takes time.
Yeah, and Rudy, I'd like to address that a little bit. What Amy said just takes the time, but every family gets their information from different sources. And it was a very long process to even get the word out as we went door to door on where to go to file your claim or get with the county so the county can come assess your needs. I personally went to a couple of houses that had filled out claims. And when we got there, they told us they didn't have any flood damage, but their HOA just told them, hey, fill this out. So there was some lack of understanding of what the needs were, who needed it. There were people with damage that still haven't filled out any reports because they have means to take care of themselves. So as Amy said, we want to get the money out to the victims as soon as possible, but we have to make sure we're minimizing fraud as well, because we don't want that to be a part of the story, that people are getting funds from all these wonderful donations and had no damage whatsoever. So unfortunately, we live in a world where we have some of that. We also have misinformation, but understand the frustration when you've lost your house and you're waiting and waiting and waiting and bills are piling up. So I think Central Texas Community Foundation has done an excellent job vetting that. We don't vet that in Williamson County, we just vet the damage. And we verify the damage. And once those rolls are verified, then we turn over that information to Central Texas Community Fund. So
That first question, I wanted to get to that first question, though, that you.
repeat that for us, Rudy, please.
And you mentioned the wide range of what the gifts are, from 500 to 100K. Is the way that this is functioning, it's kind of like a gap filler?
A gap fill. Some people were fully funded by their request. Some were not. Yes, this is direct financial support. A lot of what they get are in kind, or they may get a hotel stay, or they may get a $300 gift card. Being able to write an average of a $30,000 check or a direct deposit, yeah, it's absolutely a gap filler, but it's intended to help them rebuild based on what they applied for. Some of them may have to use it, to pay their mortgage. It may not meet exactly what they intended for it to meet. But yeah, it's definitely a gap filler as they work towards long-term recovery. But anyone who has applied for these funds, they're automatically pre-qualified for long-term recovery, and they'll be handed over to the long-term recovery groups so that they can continue to work with them until all their needs hopefully are met. Okay?
It's not taxable, right? The money.
That's right.
So speaking of Sandy Creek neighbors, obviously they're really desperate for some money, and there's so much coming for so many different angles, but they are now asking the governor to step in and tap into some funds. I mean, is this something that you think would have to be taken in the next legislative session, with how much still needs to be done and so many years for them to rebuild?
That's not a question for me.
Yeah, I can't answer that, but I know that the state of Texas will take all those needs into consideration. Really, I think TDM is the number one entity that can answer that question, and they're still heavily involved around the entire state, not just Sandy Creek area, but I don't know if Judge Brown has any more information on Sandy Creek, but definitely a lot of damage over there, so it's going to take a little more time.
Piggybacking off of Kelsey, that was actually part of my question. Are you guys, though, as county judges, in talks with the state just regarding maybe getting additional support from the state? Because, yeah, I was speaking to neighbors in Sandy Creek last week, and, they were saying that they feel like that additional support from the state is needed.
Yeah, we're in contact with the state. Again, like you said, with TDM, I mean, they're still out there. We're still out there. The bulk of what, I guess, the hard dollar amount that's been spent has been on the cleanup and the recovery, and that is a long process as well. TDM has taken over the financial burden from Travis County for most of that going forward. We did the initial part, and they're doing it now. there were a lot of hurdles with that of getting, rights of entry from individuals because the state cannot enter into land unless they have an agreement for people to come in there. So that is the main process that TDEM's working on now. And of course, this long-term recovery group really is the vehicle that we've both set up in our respective counties to address what you're talking about. So it's that group of, it's residents, it's HEB, I think United Way, other nonprofits that are all part of that group. And TDEM, there you go, TDEM's also part of that group. So that is the place where if there are, for whatever those long-term unmet needs are, people would go there. And then I think those two groups would be great resources during any upcoming legislative sessions to talk about things that they're seeing that maybe aren't being met or maybe what has been met.
Well, I just have one statement. If you hear from any of your viewers out there, if you still have personal needs for personal property, please fill out the forms. Go to the website, go to Central Texas Community Foundation, fill out those forms so we can start the vetting process.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys. It's good
Thanks,
to see
Amy.
you again.
Appreciate it.
Did you
Good
guys
to
have
see
a
you.
good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, good food
Yeah.
here for one, and then to my brother and his family in San Antonio on Friday.
Check.
Here you go, babe. Are we still sending this back? So many numbers.
January 31st is the next deadline, right?
Yes. Correct. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I know they really appreciate it.
Good.
And I think it's probably a good segment of maybe some of the people out there maybe in greatest need.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
All right, so first off, where do we stand right now?
Bueno, hoy en día estamos hablando sobre el dinero que el Central Texas Community Foundation ha dado a personas en Sandy Creek y también en el condado de Williamson. Y hasta ahora han dado $3.5 millones a residentes de esa área. Tenemos todavía otros $5,000 para dar en el futuro. Y si eres una persona que vive ahí en Sandy Creek, puede aplicar al Central Texas Community Foundation hasta el 31 de enero por otros daños que tiene en su casa. Si es alquilino o si es dueño de propiedades, puede aplicar a Central Texas Community Foundation.
And I don't speak Spanish, so I'm going to say, so you're basically telling people about the second round of funding, is that correct?
Yeah.
And have you covered that?
Yeah, they can announce and they can apply till the 31st of January.
And even people who got money in the first round, they can still get money in the second round, right?
Sí, si personas recibieron dinero en el rondo número 1, puede también aplicar de nuevo al rondo número 2. Y hay más dinero en el rondo número 2 que vamos a dar a personas. Hasta ahora hemos dado cantidades de $500 hasta $100,000. La mayoría son entre $30,000 y $70,000. Entonces, si hay un problema con su casa que fue causada por las inundaciones ahí en Sandy Creek, puede aplicar a recibir fondos del Central Texas Community Foundation hasta el 31 de enero.
I know this money won't solve all the problems or fix everything that's damaged. Where do you see the bulk of this money going and helping the most?
Bueno, es muy importante este dinero porque nosotros del gobierno podemos hacer ciertas cosas. Podemos let me start over on that one. How do you say rescues? Like rescue people? Rescar? Rescatar. Okay. Bueno, este dinero es muy importante porque puede hacer cosas que el gobierno no puede hacer. El gobierno puede rescatar personas en el momento de las inundaciones y también el gobierno puede limpiar como árboles de su casa y cosas así que están en su propiedad. Pero para hacer reparaciones a su casa, este dinero es todo lo que hay. Si una persona no tiene seguros, entonces este dinero puede ir a construir una casa, construir una parte de una casa. Es muy, muy importante para llegar a un punto donde estabas antes de las inundaciones.
One of the other questions that came up was about why did it take 4 to 5 months? And I know fraud was mentioned. Can you speak to that?
Sí, dura bastante tiempo para revisar todas las aplicaciones para el dinero y los del Central Texas Community Foundation lo revisan para asegurar que la persona vive ahí y vivió ahí durante las inundaciones y qué ingresos tiene esa persona, y de esas dos cosas determinan cuánto dinero va a cada persona. Habían unas aplicaciones de personas que no vivieron en ese lugar y no pueden dar dinero a ellos.
Mario, what else? No, it's good. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Do you know a person out